I'm Logan from Beekeeper. You're here for the 5 strategies to get over 78% employee engagement. Let's do some introductions. So today we have Melissa from Conrad Hotel New York, Director of Training and Quality, and Freddie Harmon, VP of Human Resources at Viejas Casino Resort. And to moderate for us, we have Andrada from Beekeeper. I'm going to go ahead and launch a quick poll to kick this thing off. One of the things that we're interested in, what is your biggest challenge going into 2023 this year? And then while that's running, okay, a lot of employee engagement. That makes sense given the title of our webinar. And while that's coming in, I'm just going to go ahead and run through the agenda. So today we're going to talk about frontline workforce challenges. Then we're going to talk about how to improve communication, employee engagement strategies, and the secret to employee recognition. And then we'll close it all out with a Q&A. So put your questions in the chat, and we will get to those at the end. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to my colleague, Andrada, to kick us off.
Thank you very much, Logan, and hello, everyone. Before we start the conversation with our amazing guest, I will take a few minutes to highlight some of the Beekeeper research regarding the current challenges and trends in frontline work. And for those of you that may not know, Beekeeper, our mission is to empower frontline businesses with modern technology that makes their workers more engaged, productive, and happy. We hold a passionate belief that frontline workers are the engine that drives any business. And we work with over 1,000 frontline businesses worldwide and are one of the very few companies that focus exclusively on the frontline sectors like hospitality or manufacturing. And Thank you for changing the slide. To set the stage, here are some challenges we see in the market today. Challenges that I don't think are a secret for anyone on this call. So number one, rising costs. They put pressure on employees, and so they need to find second jobs or a different job that pays more. Number two, our workforce is becoming more globally diverse and is getting younger. The result is that the old ways of working, which have been just fine until now, are becoming not acceptable anymore. And these 2 points make employee engagement, which has already been extremely difficult, even more difficult. And this is the topic that we will discuss today. If you go to the next page, in order to learn more about these trends, we took the research into our own hands and surveyed our very own Beekeeper users. We have access to over 1 million frontline workers and managers. And we wanted to know what are the biggest motivators, stressors, and retention strategies. And one of the key things that we heard in the survey was that most managers and frontliners are motivated by doing great work, just getting the job done well. And overall, there's a lot of overlap between managers and frontliners, but there is also some disconnect. As expected, staffing shows as a top stressor for both managers and frontliners. Engagement, our topic for today, was another top stressor for managers, while frontliners' first and foremost concern seems to be their and their families' well-being. And it makes sense when we talk about rising costs. And moving on to the next slide, when we dug deeper into retention, recognition and acknowledgement were seen as a great way to achieve this. And we will certainly talk about this today as well. And then predictable and reliable shifts, as well as competitive benefits, rounded off the top 3 retention and drivers for frontliners. This is just a very quick snapshot of our research. The complete findings will be published in the next few weeks, and you will receive a copy of them as well. Now, moving to the core of our session today, employee engagement. This is critical to the success of any organization. It contributes to the top line and also the bottom line, as it has implications on retention, productivity, guest satisfaction. And it is really hard to achieve it. And every single point we advance on the employee engagement survey is reason for celebration and gives us the confidence that the organization is heading the right way. In today's session, we are sitting down with 2 of our amazing customers that share with us some of their strategies that they employed to drive employee engagement. And I would like to start by asking our guests to introduce themselves and their properties.
All right, I'll go first. Good morning, everyone. My name is Freddie Harmon. I'm the Vice President of Human Resources at Viejas Casino and Resort. We're about 25 minutes from downtown San Diego. We're a AAA 4-diamond resort. We have 2 hotels, Viejas Hotel and then Willows Hotel and Spa. We have 396 rooms total, 6 restaurants, although we're soon to have 8. We've got 5 bars and lounges, 2,500 slot machines, 55 table games. We have a bingo lounge, off-track betting, a bowling alley, an outlet center, a roller skating rink that turns into an ice skating rink. So we've got pretty much everything for everybody. And altogether, it takes a little over 2,000 employees to bring that all to life.
Thank you, Freddie. And Melissa?
A little bit more intimate in size in comparison to Freddie, but I'm the of training and quality at the Conrad New York Midtown Hotel. We are a 562, mostly suite, all suite property. I'm actually sitting in one of our signature suites as well. I'm sorry, you can't see it behind me, but we have 360 employees. We're actually one of 3 luxury brands within the Hilton Worldwide portfolio. And we are sitting large in the heart of Midtown Manhattan. And we have a restaurant, 24-hour in-room dining, and certainly a great team that has seen a lot of change over the course of the past couple of years. So really, it was really great to be a part of implementation of a resource like Beekeeper. So I'm looking forward to sharing what we've done.
Thank you both for sharing information about your properties. They both look amazing, or sound, at least. We don't have pictures here. So let's start by talking about communication. Effective communication is at the core of a successful organization. Whether it is about collaborating to get the job done or just bonding with your team, you need to communicate. Freddie, being able to effectively communicate with your employees seems like something basic that we should all be able to do, yet is not a given in hospitality given the nature of our business. How have you managed to improve communication in your organization?
As with all hotels, we operate around the clock. We have 3 shifts. It's hard to believe, probably 2 years ago, the best form of communication we had was the very traditional basic communication where you send out an email. And we've got 35% of our team that actually have email. And those are mostly our leaders and our administrative departments. And you send out an email and then you just hope that they take that information and share it with their teams. We've always done what we refer to as V-briefs, and our V-briefs are basically pre-shifts with a name that's more on brand for us. That traditional basic communication was tragic. And we found out because our team members told us in our team member survey that was our biggest challenge. And so now we can reach our entire population. As of this morning, 86% of our population that are active on Beekeeper. And we can send out a message and know that it's going to get out. We have purchased iPads for all the departments. So for team members who don't have cell phones or smartphones, we have very few part of our population that didn't want to download the app onto their phone. There's a small percentage of conspiracy theories out there. So we have the iPads in the department. So at the beginning of the shift, they can use that. And it's turned out to be an incredible tool for our departments. I mentioned the V-briefs. we have some departments because of the size where the schedules trickle in every 30 minutes. So, for example, our front desk, they have people or team members that are coming in every hour at the front desk. So to be able to go do a V-brief for one person or two people every hour is going to be quite difficult. The departments have taken advantage of Beekeeper and they're actually recording their V-briefs. So if they can do it in person, they do. But if they can't, it's always there. And then that also allows people who are off shift that are not working that day to be able to go to see the V-brief either while they're sitting at home on their couch, or if when they come back to work, they can view it there. So it's just turned out to be such a great tool. And we have all the information that team members need on Beekeeper. So we have our handbooks, our policies. The departments are using their toolbox that they have available to their team members for all the departmental processes and policies. So if there's ever any questions, all that information is just one click away on their phone. So it's turned out to be really good for the departments. They post their shift bids. They use it for recognition. They use it to communicate to all three shifts at one time. So our communication has improved dramatically. In fact, in a couple of weeks, I'll be able to tell you exactly how much our team members think it has improved because we'll be doing our team member survey. So I'm looking for a much better score.
Oh yeah, I'd be curious to hear that. So Melissa, as Director of Training and Quality, you want to make sure that your employees live and breathe the brand standards and service culture. How do you do that at Conrad New York Midtown?
Very similar to what Freddie had mentioned. It's the power of the pre-shift, right? And being intentional about how we communicate to our team has been essential for us. And understanding that people learn and retain information differently is something that we've recognized. So to equip our teams to feel more confident in delivering these exceptional experiences, we varied how we communicate. So pre-shifts is absolutely one of them. But to Freddie's point, where even if people come to the pre-shift and they're not on these staggered shifts, sometimes it's a lot of information to retain. So what our front office team has done is compiled this double-sided document where we have pertinent operational details like what are arrivals looking like, what are occupancy for the week. But also we place our VIPs on the list, and that helps support our name recognition. So that's one of our service standards. And then also on this document, which we utilize in our pre-shift, we put our standard of the day. We have a recognition corner. So we have this all in the same document. And very similar to Freddie, we don't have a large population of team members that are attached to a computer, right? And so maybe 20% of our team has access to email. So we weren't really capturing a lot of individuals. With Beekeeper, we actually have between 65 and 68% of our team actively engaged, actively checking in to Beekeeper. So what our front office team has done to support these efforts is putting this document on Beekeeper, because let's be honest with you, unless I have something in front of me personally to refer back to, I might forget it. I don't have the best memory. So if Beekeeper can work on that, you just let me know. But so we have this document on there. And also to support the service standards, I run contests, which you're just able to reach such a wider audience than I was before. So think about, I have about 265 people actively on the app every day. I posted a contest of show us how you're demonstrating the standard today. And I have room attendants posting the perfect bed. Or I don't know if you want to show what we've posted on Beekeeper. I think I have a slide on here. So you can see one of our room attendants staging. They've made the bed, but it's more about what we do to show personal touches to the guest experience. So they staged, this room attendant staged the stuffed animals in this room to be reading a book with coloring pages. We also have someone from our kitchen. They knew that there was a repeat guest coming back and they loved Krispy Kreme donut. And so there's this one iconic donut that Krispy Kreme sells in Times Square, which we're about 3 blocks away. They ran and got it for this guest. But then they posted what they did on Beekeeper. So it's exclusive to our team. And what this does is, or what this has done for us, is helps inspire the performance that we want to see continued, right? And so it reinforces the learning that we've covered in classroom training, in pre-shifts, but also it sparks this fun internal, it's not even a competition because people are really proud of what they've been able to impact on this guest experience. So you see that this also intertwines with a recognition, and it's just another way also that we recognize our team, because very much like any other social platform, it's you like, you comment, and it's really nice to see different departments engaging with each other through the app, and they might not even see each other, right? And so it really has sparked this internal camaraderie because there's such a unified pride with what people are able to do, and that also supports our.
Thank you for sharing. Making the right information available to the right person at the right time is certainly critical to enable them to do their job right, but also for guest satisfaction in this case. And then, Freddie, you have taken this to the next level, in my opinion, when you started digitizing some menial tasks for your employees so they can get this done quicker and can actually focus on tasks with more added value. And they feel proud to do something that matters versus filling out paperwork. Please tell us about this experience and the impact you have seen.
So I think every good leader is always looking for ways to make things more efficient, especially in hospitality. The goal is to spend as much time on service and with our guests as possible, especially for our management team, not having them in their office doing a lot of administrative work, having them out on the floor, observing service, talking to our guests, building relationships. That's the goal. And when we got Beekeeper, I was intrigued by the forms. And so we had a meeting and I had my team bring every form that we have in the company and said, okay, which ones are going to make sense to put them on Beekeeper? And what we found is that through the forms that we did, we made things more efficient for our team members. They were thrilled because they didn't have to go walk over to human resources, find a form hanging on a wall, print it out, and then put it in a slot. It just became something that they could do at home. Putting in a PTO request, or it just became very easy for them. But what's interesting is processes were so manual that we ended up freeing up a lot of our managers' time as well, because a lot of times the managers were being interrupted saying, hey, can you give me a PTO request form? Or we've just gotten great feedback that it has saved our departments a lot of time. One really fun example that we actually did our fire department. We're our own country because we're a sovereign nation, and we have a fire department. And our fire department every year for October would sell the standard fire department shirt, but it would have a big pink ribbon made out, or that was the design of a hose. Anyway, so they would sell those every year. And this year they said, hey, they would sell them just to people out on the reservation. And when we got Beekeeper, they're like, hey, do you think we could sell these to team members? And I'm like, heck yeah. So we used the forms for team members. If you wanted a t-shirt, You put how many you want, what sizes, and then we had an acknowledgement. So it was payroll deducted. And then we could just easily download every day a list of what we needed to send to the departments for the team members. And it became so easy. And what was amazing is we ended up, it's a fundraiser for Susan G. Komen, and we ended up raising $5,000 additional dollars. We sold 738 shirts. And the best part is that it was administratively very easy for our department. Had we done that manually, I probably would have had someone dedicated to just that for the month because of the manual process and what that would take. So it really great. We use it for registering for our training classes. We use the forms for that. We use the survey tool for feedback after training classes. Yeah, it's turned out to be a really efficient thing for us, but it also it's a benefit to our team members because it's become so much easier for them.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. You are the guru of forums, I have to say. And this is great. Just moving on to recognition, right? We mentioned in the survey that we presented earlier that a big part of building employee engagement is a culture of recognition. Both of you have managed to build this culture and have seen some significant results. Melissa, I will start with you. You have digitized an already existing recognition program and have noticed a surprising, or maybe not so surprising, correlation with a guest satisfaction. Please tell us more.
Of course. So very similar to communication, we vary what recognition looks and feels like. And we have just a variety of demographics in the hotel and people who are comfortable with a pen and paper, but people who've gotten more adept to using technology. But for us, curating and varying recognition and knowing there's not one size fits all solution, and how we evolve that is very much what we do and what our brand stands for. For example, we have a peer-to-peer recognition program. It is based on this carbon copy. Somebody could fill out a piece of paper. I give you a copy if I recognize you, Freddie, and then I put the other copy in a Dropbox. And that's wonderful. And it was a really great way for people to get recognized. But what we also did was put this in a form. So I'm not as much of a guru as Freddie is. So maybe you can teach me a little bit later. But we really wanted to breathe more life into this program when we reopened as a result of the pandemic. And again, the program it's top down, it's lateral, it's a peer-to-peer program. And the idea is for team members and leaders to recognize each other for these specific behaviors associated with creating these outstanding luxury experiences. So what we've done is, since implementation of this program, we have seen our communication and engagement metric scores in our team member surveys anywhere between 2 and 5 points. And what the digitization has also helped me with is very similar to Freddie, is from a tracking perspective, because in my role in training and quality, I was curious to see the data and how this also relates to the experience that we're delivering to our guests. And it's no surprise, and I'm sure nobody on this call will be shocked, of how recognition impacts performance. And so I wanted to highlight just a few scores and what this means. So our program was called Inspire, and you can see we started slow in January. We only have 4 cards submitted. So we needed to do something. So we added some digital element in June. And then also, we have seen that we have the most Inspire cards submitted in September. So you can see we had 48. And you can see the correlation of our service scores. So this is coming from the opinions of our guests, right? we also have different recognition programs. So our housekeeping team had International Housekeeping Week, and they also posted all of pictures of the great events that they had going on. And people love to be like just a little social media famous. So this was our own little social platform, and people wanted to see pictures of themselves. And so also this is a department specific initiative, and there's one metric that this particular department impacts, and that's cleanliness. And you can see it was the highest amount of cards submitted and the highest score for service and cleanliness. So it's not rocket science. I'm sure everybody will know that, but it's really important for me to have shown this to my team so that you can really see that it's not fluff, right? And it really matters, and varying what we do is also imperative as well.
Melissa, that's awesome. How often do we talk about the correlation between recognition and performance, but you actually have something now that backs that up. It's data. You can't argue the data. I'm going to steal this and show my management team. And then hopefully after our team member survey, I can also show the correlation there in a few weeks. But this is really cool.
Yeah, and it shows that they're not these isolated concepts. And of course, being in just the business of hospitality, we're people first business. And I think if every industry has that mentality and how we can apply these principles, just imagine what an engaged and just how we really move the needle, what just a post-pandemic work can look like, can be like for people. So I'll be happy. You can borrow this for sure, Frank.
Okay, thank you. I'm like, would it be tacky for me to get my phone right now and take a picture of that?
Don't worry. You had some training topics in there. So I'm like, okay, I'll be calling Freddie later. I want to know more about your registration and feedback.
So Freddie, maybe you can also share your success with your recognition program. I know you also made it accessible to a lot more people now.
Yeah, it's prior to Beekeeper, we had our traditional formal recognition program. We call it the Eagle Awards. We've taken advantage of the forums, of course. So now nominations are done through Beekeeper. We have our informal processes or recognition that is CHIP program. We have tons of different company-wide programs. More importantly, our departments each have their own specific programs as well that are focused on the standards within their own department. One of the things that we were able to do, and it sounds very similar to what Melissa has done, is our service standards are called STYLE. It's YLE. Each letter represents something different. And with Beekeeper, we were able to style and create a stream for I like your style. And we opened it up to the company, and we have these little cards. In fact, I think we might have a slide for that. You can see that the gentleman is holding the I like your style card. That was given to him by, he's a security officer, and that was given to him by a supervisor in table games. And then what part of our program is, not only do you give them the card, but then take a picture and post it on the stream. So that way it is recognition that the whole company can appreciate. And like Melissa says, everybody wants to be the Kim Kardashians of Beekeeper, but it's taking the photo, gets company-wide recognition. And what has happened that I could never have imagined is the camaraderie that it's built across departments, because people are recognizing, team members are recognizing other team members in other departments in such an impactful way that it's bringing our team closer together. And it's creating a really amazing culture that quite honestly, I knew it would be neat. I just didn't know how impactful it would really be for our team. I would say the amount of recognition now that's happening on our property on a daily basis has probably quadrupled. It's insane. The amount of these that are getting posted every day. We're averaging anywhere from 10 to 20 a day. And the fact that sometimes it's managers that are recognizing their team members. We have team members that are recognizing their managers. And then the peer-to-peer happens a lot within the departments, but what we're seeing now is it's growing from one department to another, recognizing each other. That is the trend is really picking up steam, which is awesome. And I think what it does is that people are inspired, like Melissa said. They're seeing, oh, wow, I never thought that I would be recognizing someone that's in a different department. And that's a good idea. So now they're paying attention more to what other team members are doing. And it's creating a pretty amazing culture. I couldn't be more thrilled.
I love that. And I think one of the biggest things with this in particular is that even if you're a large property like yours or a smaller one like me, but we have 54 floors. So it's not like a bulletin board that, that sometimes do people look, do people not? At least this people have access to in their pockets. And then the other thing is, I think the spirit of recognition is infectious. And so that's what I love about these peer-to-peer programs and the beauty of Beekeeper, because you can post the picture, but also even your heart of house team can get that love. And I love what you said, Freddie, about it was like in two different departments, people recognizing each other, and really that the power of that partnership network in hospitality is really powerful. I love what you've done with the pictures and doing recognition that way. I might be stealing that too.
And something that it's done that I also did, I guess it is obvious, but I just hadn't thought of it, is it's also reinforcing, it's putting our style standard into action. It's showing what those standards are in a way that is so much more meaningful and impactful than just a training class. They're being trained every day on here's different ways to do this standard. And it's really cool.
I love that.
Yeah.
These are both great stories. Now, moving on to the last topic is about humanizing the relationship with your employees. That also contributes to employee engagement and being able to increase your scores there. And Melissa, you in the past years have been really difficult in hospitality, and yet you have managed to have now in 2022, last year, higher engagement scores than in 2019. How did you achieve?
There's a whole laundry list of things we've done, but one of the essential elements has been that transparent and frequent communication, particularly like I mentioned before, in varying how we communicate and what we share between pre-shifts and Beekeeper. These are the main ways that we've been able to do this. For example, we were able to more seamlessly communicate when we had closed and furloughed a large percent, the majority of our team as a result of the pandemic. But we were able to keep in touch and provide a sense of community in that way, even though we were closed. And we were able to keep our GM posted updates of the current state of affairs. People were looking forward to finding out when we were going to reopen. And then I used the opportunity also just to, again, make it like this whole human experience and post resources to help our team a little bit more holistically. So I had found free meditation apps or even free training resources, things that sometimes people get lost in the internet search, the interwebs, right? And so I was able to put it at fingertips. And so many people, when they came back from furlough, oh, I got certified because you posted that training link or what have you. And then when we brought folks back from furlough and reopened the hotel, in addition to having reorientation, I brought up our mental wellness resources again as well, reintroduced Beekeeper. We actually, as part of New York State requirements, needed to do COVID screenings. So Beekeeper was one of the easiest ways we were able to do that instead of people filling out a piece of paper. But that also helped our team get more accustomed using Beekeeper. And then we started posting things that they could take advantage of as well. Again, more holistically, these mental wellness resources, employee assistance programs. And then also, because I love training, so I decided to develop a digital learning library where people I videoed a 2-minute segment of step-by-step instructions on how to access our travel benefits or how to access the parking discount. And what that helped is I recognize not a lot of people are comfortable using technology, but usually somebody always has a friend or a family member that can help them. So whenever our team would say, I don't know how to access this discount, but I showed my daughter your video on Beekeeper and she helped me. And so really leveraging how we use technology has been really impactful. And certainly with Beekeeper, it made it so easy. And I'm sure there's so many other ways that I could be using it for certainly my role, and look forward to doing that in this year. But more specifically, the metrics have been able to illustrate the impact. In 2019, our engagement score, I believe, was 73%. And we moved the needle between communication, our recognition efforts, and bringing this human experience, and we moved it up to 78% in 2022. And our trust score improved by 6 points. And we have active engagement from our senior leaders as well, people commenting. It's also another way to recognize when someone posts a picture of, I don't know, my pastry chef posted the Valentine's Day dessert the other day. And so everybody was commenting. So it's a really great way to, again, build that engagement and that pride. So it's just some of the ways we've been able to do that here.
Thank you, Melissa. Freddie, in your organization, it's also important that you give all employees a voice and allow them to have fun and connect with each other on a personal level. Tell us more.
I'll start with the focus on giving our team members a voice. We used Beekeeper as a way to collect questions that team members wanted answered for our all team member meeting. So it helped us promote the meetings ahead of time I think we had it open for a month and just collected questions. We ended up with over 1,000 questions. And we went through, identified the ones that were repeated, that obviously important to our team as a whole. And we used the all team member meeting as a way it became our agenda. It helped us shape the agenda for the all team member meeting, actually. But it helped them have a way to ask questions, and it gave them a voice. And we still get those every time we post something. Team members, they'll have questions, or we talked about having to move the team member parking lot because of construction starting. And one of them, somebody brought up, hey, could we park over here? This area doesn't get used. And we're like, wow, that's a great idea. Yeah, let's do that. So giving them a voice, it's a great way for them to be able to communicate and to get answers. Because a lot of times, especially on our team member surveys, does your company care? Are they interested in your opinion? These are all things that were not great. And I'm pretty confident those scores are going to go up. Now, as for fun is one of our core values. So we add fun wherever we can, and we get really creative. And yeah, I think that we got a couple of fun slides. So one of the things that I did, I was a little nervous. Our population is really diverse. And I was nervous about the social media component of Beekeeper and how to make people familiar are comfortable. And I knew that Facebook, my 82-year-old mother is on Facebook. So I know the Facebook posts, the fun stuff is stuff that everybody's familiar with. So I created, and the intention was to create a stream that was just short term, so team members could post their pets. Everybody loves pets. Either you're a dog fan or you're a cat fan. We've got some lizard and snake fans. We've got horses. But anyway, we created this stream just for team members to want to go and see something fun about their coworkers. We've now had Beekeeper for, oh my goodness, how long now? Over a year. And anyway, the thought of taking down the Viejas pets stream a month after we started, there would have been a riot, because the engagement on Viejas pets is through the roof. And it's like, you would think that, okay, I posted, here's my 4 dogs. And you think that would be it. But no, they're coming back like once a week and saying, oh, here's my dog with their Christmas outfits, or it's happy birthday is one of the one that's on the screen right now. There's so many posts, it adds fun, which is awesome. But strategically, it also gets them on the app. So while they're looking at the Viejas pet streams, they're also going to the mainstream and learning that the fire department is doing blood pressure checks on Valentine's Day. They're learning all this other stuff at the same time. So it's worked out great. It's everybody's favorite thing. And other ways that we use it is, right now, I mentioned when we started that we're going from 6 restaurants to 8 restaurants. So we threw out a post that said, let's name the grab and go. And as of this morning, we were up to, people were listing multiple names, but we're up to 94 comments this morning. So 94 unique users that had posted names, and the names that we got are fantastic. So the hardest part's going to be deciding which one we choose out of all the great ones. And then the other slide that's there is the holiday decor, but just creating fun things once a month, whether it's that, or during the Super Bowl, everybody got to wear their jerseys, and it was poster jersey stream and that kind of stuff. It creates engagement, it creates fun. But from a service perspective, one of the things that we focus on in Style is building personal connections with our guests, because we're primarily a locals market where it's the same guests coming back quite a bit. What's happening is they're also doing it with our internal guests. They're building personal connections with each other, which I think is part of what's creating this culture that has just been fantastic. It's people that are getting to know each other that would have never even possibly seen each other in person. I have people all the time that are like, hey, how are the dogs? And I'm like, they're great. And I'm like, wow, that person must be new, because I've never seen them before. And I think I know pretty close to all 2,000 people. So anyway, it's really fantastic.
That's amazing. And not to get being a science nerd right now, but also pictures of dogs. It's like there's the stress hormone, or the anti-stress hormone released. If you ever need to just reset, I would probably be that person too, to go on your pet stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when things are stressful, that's where you'll find me.
Freddie and Melissa, it has been incredibly insightful to hear both of your stories. And with this, my questions, come to an end. But I know there are some questions from the audience, and I'll pass it back to Logan, who can help us see through some of them.
Great. Yes. Thank you, everyone. We are at time, but we're going to keep going, because if if that's all right with everybody else, to ask a couple of these questions, just because the conversation has been so great. Freddie, Melissa, is that okay with you both?
Yes,
Good.
let's do it.
Okay, great. So let's ask a few questions and keep this rolling. One of the questions that came in through the chat was, one hesitation my company is having with jumping on the Beekeeper platform is negative interaction with postings. What has your experience been with employee interactions on posts?
I can take that one.
Okay, great.
I was definitely worried about the same thing as well. I think we underestimate our people. And I know certainly like with an HR background, I was like, how is this going to get? It actually, there's more positive than negative. And so maybe there's been a few posts, but it's nothing that it was against each other. Maybe some posts that maybe could be misinterpreted. And so what I would do is I would just take a screenshot. I would remove it from an administrative perspective. And then I would have a coaching conversation with that person and just say, this actually is not the best way to share this information. We actually also had someone voice an opinion, their disappointment with the cafeteria once in my previous property. And it could have gone the other way, but we decided we're going to keep this one on because they weren't being unprofessional. The feedback was constructive. And I'm sure they're not the only person who had the feedback. So the positive definitely outweighed in my experience. And this is my second property I've worked with Beekeeper on, less than a handful in the past 5 years of negative comments. So I wouldn't be too worried, and definitely don't underestimate our people in that way. They want more good out of it than we think.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think the encouragement, I see way more encouragement for peer-to-peer on Beekeeper than anything. And that is awesome. I haven't had to remove any posts. Oh, that's not true. We have, because I had one yesterday where they spelled a word wrong and it came out as a word that is on our filter to not be posted. And it was just an honest mistake. That's just sending an email and going, hey, by the way, this automatically came down because you spelled ask the wrong way. And then, so you just change, repost it and just spell it correctly. And we've also had, I think it's common, the cafeteria comments. And we did the same thing. And there was actually great debate amongst the executives and just saying, do we keep it or do we not? And I was like, I want to keep it, because if I take it down, basically what I'm saying is your opinion doesn't matter. And that's the opposite of what I want. And I treated it like we would treat a Google review. It's just, or TripAdvisor or whatever. Thank you so much for your comment, and we would love more feedback on if you have suggestions. They talked about the same meals every week, and it's great. Is there something different that, and it turned it into something positive. So yeah, I was really worried about it, and quite honestly, so were our executives, and I'm like, we'll deal with it. And it's turned out to be fine. No need to worry.
That's great that the concern ended up becoming a net positive for
totally
the culture of both your organizations.
Yeah.
Another one that came through from the audience was, I'm curious to know how you've scaled recognition programs with departments of different sizes.
One more. Could you repeat that, Logan?
Yeah. And maybe this is a good one for you, Freddie. I'm curious how you've scaled recognition programs with departments of different sizes. So yeah, just different amounts of people in the department and how the recognition programs work.
So we take different approaches depending on what level of recognition. If it's our formal recognition program, the Eagle Award, we literally do a percentage of population in terms of how many nominations should be submitted. They go to the department first. Team members can nominate each other. It goes to the department and then they select who they're going to submit. And they have, it's used just as guidelines. If, for example, our IT department is 25 people, and so they might have 2 nominations a year. You know what? If there's 3 or 4 people and there's a legitimate reason why they should be nominated, go for it. But we do use guidelines to give people an idea. We also don't want them to be nominating people just because they have such a big allotment. As for the other departments, as for the departmental recognition, we do a dollar amount per employee per month that goes into the departmental budgets. They have a line item that just says recognition, and they have to submit their proposal to me on how they're going to use that budget, just because I want to make sure that it's a credible program. And then once it's approved, they just go for it. And yeah, it's just based off of a dollar amount per employee per month.
Great. We are running on time. I'm going to go one more question, if that works for everybody. Everybody here, and I think it's a really great one. And Melissa or Freddie, either of you can take it. And so it's for employers that have cell phone policies that restrict employees using their phone while at work. How do you promote employees recognizing their peers when they shouldn't have their phone on them? And yeah.
I'll take that.
That's awesome.
We created a policy that says, you know what? You can have your phone. If you're on it, it better be Beekeeper. And that's it. And we haven't had any problems. It's like you walk up and that's it. If you're going to have your phone with you, great. It has to be in your pocket. If it's out, you need to be assisting a guest, so we have our marketing promotions. We have all the details are on Beekeeper. So a guest never doesn't ever believe you're going to know everything, but you should be able to find out the answer. So if they pull out a phone and say, here, let me check, I have the answers right here, that's excellent guest service. And that's our goal. So we treat our team members like the adults that they are. And if don't get me wrong, there's people that are talking on the phone or texting, whatever, and that's against policy, and we deal with it the way we would even if Beekeeper didn't exist.
Yeah, we handle it very similarly. So they're allowed to have it. They just can't be on their phones in guest area, on phone calls in guest areas, or scrolling on other socials than Beekeeper. But absolutely, I think we also need to evolve the way we work as well. And so cell phones are part of our lifestyle now. So to Freddie's point is we have cell phone policies in place. Glad to know we're aligned, Freddie.
That's great. All great information. We actually have a lot more questions, but we are running on time. So I did document all of them. So if you put it in the chat or the Q&A function, your question did get documented, and you will get an answer in a follow-up email next week once we get all the answers collected, so that you have that information during all the follow-up. And again, you'll get this recording. So I did just want to close it out real quick. Just a little information about how Beekeeper can help you. So we've built a solution, like we talked about throughout this presentation. We built a solution that has all the relevant information and processes in the hands of every frontline team member, and it's specifically designed for your frontline workforce. It's based on 3 pillars. It is productivity, comms and collaboration, and employee services. And with that, you don't really have to take word for it. You can take the thousands of customers that we have worldwide, and they all use Beekeeper, just like Melissa and Freddie talked about today. So lastly, I just wanted to say thank you, Freddie and Melissa. It has been amazing. We always try to stay time constrained, but when the conversations roll like they did today, it is fun. And Andrada, thank you very much for being a great moderator, and thank everybody for attending. And what's awesome is everybody has stuck around with everything we've talked about today. And so it means a lot that you're going to take back some information today and employ some better employee engagement at your companies. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
Yes.